What's going on, people? Welcome to the YouTube channel. Today we've got some more use of force videos coming from around the UK. Today we're going to be discussing why, when using your taser, don't expect it to work, expect it to fail. For those of you who don't know, I'm a UK police officer. I've worked in the police for 3 years, and I go through use of force videos to try and find out if there's anything that we can be doing better, any better ways that we could be using our tools, and is there any way I can help members of the public understand police officers' rationale and the reason why we make our decisions. Without any further ado, we're going to go straight into a video which shows a female police officer dealing with a male and how she gets stabbed in her face during the incident. Let's get straight into it.
Point at your chest. Stand still.
So as you can see, this officer, she points her taser at him and says, "Taser, stop still. Taser, red dot." In our training, we're told to activate our taser if we're faced with a threat. Show them those red dots on their chest if you get a chance and tell them, look at those red dots. Do you really want to be electrocuted? Please reconsider your actions. Potentially using a little bit more explicit language, but effectively you want to let them know, look, I'm not messing about. These red dots are going to be causing you a lot of pain in a second. So as you can see, this individual, he knows exactly how a taser works. He walks around the back of a tree and uses it as cover to try and find an opportune time to rush this policewoman. We can't assume as law enforcement that people don't understand how these things work. A lot of these people know if they run fast enough, the taser won't catch them. If they're wearing padded clothing, the taser won't catch them. And this guy knows that he can be using toys inside his back garden and a tree as sufficient cover to stop a taser. And he's right.
Stand still. Taser!
After she's charged, she tases him. And it affects him. It affects his muscles, it stops him, and it has him almost paralysed against the wall, but he doesn't drop down. Whether he's got enough strength to stand up or he's using that wall to prop him up, he doesn't go down initially.
Get down! Get down! Taser!
He manages to wait for the effect of the taser to wear off, pull out those prongs and walk forward. Again, the officer points the taser at him and tases him yet again.
More units!
So he says something in freaking demon, he says something demonic, and then starts to try and grab her arms, potentially grabbing the weapons, grabbing her vest, we don't know. But this officer's all out of options. She had 2 shots and both of her cartridges haven't worked. Either way now, she's in a sticky situation. If you look down at his hands, he's got a pen in his hands and he's using this as an offensive weapon. He stabs this officer repeatedly in the face. She backs away from him and the situation ends in some sort of stalemate. You can see that she feels depleted and defeated. She's gone there with effectively what is classed in the UK as a firearm versus a pen and effectively come out in this situation underneath. Obviously she could have used baton, obviously she could have used pepper spray. And these are the situations in which we are trained to use taser and it simply hasn't worked. The next video we're going to look at is a video of some police traffic officers. Traffic officers in the UK are specialised officers who are advanced drivers and they are experts at chasing criminals in vehicles. In this video we're going to be looking at offenders in a stolen Range Rover. These offenders decide to assault officers and this ends in a tasing incident which is ineffective and an officer being run over. Let's take a look at that.
Stay in. Yeah, let's go, strike.
As you can see here, as these offenders are coming to a stop or being forced into a stop by these officers, one of the offenders leans out the window with a brick and throws it at the officer. If you heard that an English police officer arrested a young man for carrying an offensive weapon inside their vehicle in a public place and the offensive weapon was a brick, you guys would be like, these officers have got nothing better to do, they're wasting time, it's harassment, F the police, right? But this is what some offenders will do. They'll have a car, they know it's a hot car, and hot means stolen or otherwise illegal for it to be used, and they'll put things like bricks and other heavy objects inside that vehicle so that if they get involved in a police chase, in a sticky situation, they can throw that at a police officer's windscreen and end the chase. So as you can see here, that's exactly what he does. He realises that I'm in a sticky situation, this may help me get away if I can obstruct this officer's view, and out goes a brick. I've had machetes thrown at the car when I've been in chases as a passenger. People also throw bricks as well.
Go, get out.
So the officers jump straight out of their vehicles, and straight away they're pointing taser and shouting taser, taser. Again, to a bystander, this is going to look pretty extreme. To me, it's not. You throw a brick at any individual, they are going to use force to stop you from doing that. They're going to get tasered. Not to mention they're inside a vehicle which can act as a weapon.
You're coming out under my control.
So as you can see on the video, both of these guys are, as we call, passively resisting. You can see our chunky fellow who's in the red with the balaclava on, looking, you know, pretty innocent and not suspicious at all. He's got his arms, and he's holding his arms together like this. If you've got anyone near to you at the moment, tell them to hold on to the fabric of their clothing on their stomach and put their arms together like that. And I want you to pull their arms apart on your own. All two of you, try and pull that person's arms apart. And that should let you know how hard it is to arrest someone who's passively resisting, and sometimes why that requires force. But look at them. You've got one of them kind of pretending to be all passive to the camera, saying, it's okay, I'll come with you. You've got the other one who anchoring down, and you can tell he's not planning on going anywhere. Another key thing to look out for, which I make mistakes with, we all do, is body language. These guys are passively resisting, but this guy's still got his balaclava on. He's still pulling his arms away. Therefore, it tells you in his head he thinks he can still get away. In this scenario, I think that's because he's wearing a balaclava. He's thinking, if I run away from here, I've got a balaclava and gloves on. The police still can't identify me. His friend knows it's game over because he doesn't have a mask on. Just another thing for you to consider. But let's see what happens next.
Stop being stupid. Do not move. Don't move. You're right. Move, man. Yeah, okay. You get on.
He's been tasered multiple times. Potentially due to the close distance, it hasn't worked. However, he would have still been in a lot of pain, but it still didn't stop him. Our offender, after being tasered multiple times, he's surrounded by multiple officers. He manages to push past these officers, walk away.
Edge past an officers with mouse covering.
Get inside a police vehicle, drives this vehicle over a police officer after reversing and knocking him down. He drives over him, leaving the officer fighting for his life. One thing for you guys to understand, any criminals out there who are watching, if you do something like this to a police officer inside the UK, and imagine around the world, you're not going to have a normal police officer coming to arrest you after doing this. You're going to be having armed police or operational support units heading towards you. You're going to have guys who specialise in smashing doors and dragging people like you out, feet first or head first, no matter how it goes, or crane eaters with carbines coming for you. Either way, after this, have a look for yourself what happens to Big Boy as he makes his way away from the scene, attempting to escape.
You have to ride the post 5-1. We're getting you down, then. Yeah, we need an ambulance to walk off. We'll track the PM. Helicopter! Track the police car is up in the boot car. Channel, top of the plate, one gas release speed. Charlie 1-5, take the left, please. It's very noisy in the room. Confirm. Aircraft to interrupt one. Aircraft to interrupt one. Okay, what I'm trying to say, Alison.
Where's the motor? Where's the motor? Where's the motor?
Yankee Mike from Romeo Charlie Oscar 2-4. Yankee Mike and plus 5-1. He's abandoned the vehicle and his Lady Pool Road. He's gone into a shop. We need units here as soon as, please. One male in an orange top.
Firearms to me now, please. To me now, Brighton Road, Lady Pool. He's got red jogging bottoms on. He's got white t-shirt on. He's trying to steal a taxi.
You! Our police! Our police! Down! Down on the floor now! Get down on the floor! Down! On the floor now! You! On the floor! Down! Down! Down the floor! Down the floor!
So the crane eating gun boys track him down, he gets tasered in his chest. Again, it still doesn't have the effect where it shuts down all of his muscles, potentially because he's quite a chunky boy, but again, it doesn't fully work, but it's enough to bring him to the ground. Our offender ends up facing some years in prison, but think about what's happened. He's been tasered multiple times, still enough strength to push past officers, run over a police officer, drive away at 100 miles per hour, go into a shop, change clothes, attempt to steal a taxi, and then at the end, in his own time, he decides to get down, and the officers actually have to help him to the ground with another little taser pull. I'm not sure if this is enough for CPS to charge. And finally, we have a woman who seems to be having some type of mental health crisis, confronted with officers pointing tasers. Without any further ado, let's get into this video.
Identify yourself now!
Drop the blade. Get on the floor now. Get on the floor.
My God.
Get on the floor now. Get on the floor.
Police officer 666! Police officer 666!
Oh my God.
Police officer 666! You know my number!
Oh my days. Oh my days.
So again, in this video, we don't know if we're dealing with someone who's high on drugs or mental health. A lot of people are making fun in the comments, but this woman may be suffering right now and she does need medical attention. But look, she's there with a paramedic. And as I said in my previous video, a lot of these instances where you're dealing with someone who's having a manic, public, mental health incident, there's usually an element of them physically acting out. Whether they're being verbally aggressive or physically aggressive, paramedics aren't going to feel safe to get hands on with them. It's not because they're not brave, but they don't have stab proof vests. If this person has a knife or a weapon or a gun, whatever it may be, they can't defend themselves and they're not trained to, so they will withdraw. And that's exactly what this paramedic does. As you can see, this lady, you can see her hand in quick glimpses, but she keeps putting her hands behind her back. Is she concealing something in the palm of her hand? Is she hiding something? From what I can see on the video now, it looks like there's probably nothing in her hands. She's just got a weird kind of pose going on. But to someone who's looking at a distance, it does look like she's got something in her hands. Now you've got to look at the uniform of these officers. To me, it looks like these are armed officers. These look to me like firearms officers. Why are they called that? Which is one thing you have to consider. And it comes very clear with the words that the officer uses to get this woman's attention.
Drop the blade. Get on the floor now. Get on the floor.
Oh my
Get
God.
on the floor now.
He draws for his taser and he says, "Drop the knife now." A member of the public or the officer has interpreted her body posture as to be someone who's in possession of a knife and reacted according to the situation. Our crane-eating firearms officers are extremely well trained in the UK. Despite all of the banter that we give them, they are really, really good and they do a very good job. His colleague walks around the side, realising that this lady's all bark and no bite, and takes her to the ground. As you can see in this video, taser was not needed. Now, the reason why I have brought all three of these videos together and I wanted to bring them to your attention is for one reason. It's because all of them demonstrate why you should expect your taser to fail. Always have a plan B. When I turn up to incidents where I'm dealing with someone armed with a weapon, I do expect my taser not to work. I try and get hold of my baton. Even when I'm drawing for my taser, I make sure that my baton is ready to be used. I might unhinge it slightly so I can grab it if I need it. Expect it not to work. In the first video, she had no plan B. After the taser, she didn't really know what to do. That's no critique of her. It's not her fault that she was in that situation. But it's something to expect. We deal with crazy people and they're going to do some crazy stuff from time to time. In the second video, multiple officers used their tasers on our subject. And it didn't work because we can get so drawn into just using our taser. Sometimes we can forget that potentially if all of those officers jumped at him, it could have taken him to the ground. And I know very well it's very, very easy to say that in hindsight. So it's not a critique, it's just an observation. I'm sure the potential would have done a lot of things differently if they could go back. But looking at the situation, again, if these officers expected their tasers not to work, potentially they would have pepper sprayed him, they would have grabbed him, they would have got hands on with him. In the third video is extremely well done. He points his taser and he realises that it's not relevant, it's not going to be the useful tool to de-escalate and deal with the situation in a way that the public would be proud of. This lady's having a mental health issue potentially. Does she need to be tasered when she doesn't have a knife? Potentially not. All of these videos show that when you draw your taser, you should expect it not to work or always have a plan B. Remember, every time you discharge your taser, flip a coin. Heads it works, tails it doesn't. If you're dealing with someone who's super fat, it may not work. Padded clothing may not work. Too much distance may not work. One probe in, one probe out doesn't work. And even when it does work, are you going to be able to immediately get hands on with this individual and get them into cuffs? Or, like in the first video, is it going to wear off and they have the chance to escape again? Expect your taser not to work. It's just a tool. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Tell me what you guys would have done differently. Make sure all of you guys tell me what you want me to react to next. If you guys are interested in the series, drop a like, subscribe, all of that great stuff. And I'll see you guys again. Peace.